Hello everyone and welcome along to round 6 of the FRS Dirt Rally Championship, this time on the tarmac roads of Ribadelles in Spain. We are into the second half of the season now and the championship is looking all but sewn up for Rick C 137, who has a commanding 205 point lead after 5 of 9 rounds. Ettore, the closest challenger, in second place, with Fraser a little bit further back in third. And then beyond that, there's a really close fight for fourth between Jabber, Booth, Jams Truth and Timolele. For the first 3 stages in Spain, there was an interesting dilemma for the drivers, with the first 2 stages being wet and the third being bone dry, leaving an important decision on whether to take the wet weather tyres or the dry. Unfortunately for some entrants, this didn't matter at all, as some old problems resurfaced. Oh no. Are you joking? Among those who were able to take the start in stage 1, Air Jordan was quick and straight into the top 5 on debut. The vast majority, if not all of the drivers, had taken the dry tyres, so the first 2 stages were particularly challenging and very low grip. But challenging is no problem at all for Rick C, who went fastest in stage 1 to lay down yet another marker to the rest of the competition. The American stage 1 time was a full 5 seconds quicker than anybody else in the field. So Rick C fastest in stage 1 from Fraser and Jabber, with Air Jordan in 4th on their debut and Jams Truth 5th. Another 2.9 miles of slip sliding around was to follow in stage 2, Descenso por Carretera, and the order was changing around quite a bit as drivers made mistakes in the tricky conditions. Dan was P12 in stage 1 but was second quickest of all in stage 2, the closeness of the field meaning that only improved him to 10th place in the overall standings. The times were phenomenally close throughout the whole field, with the top 23 drivers all separated by 30 seconds. A couple of consistent runs from Van Ombase allowed him to sneak up into the top 5 for the first time this season, that being a rare moment in the spotlight for the sole Mitsubishi in the field. Back up at the front, Fraser was in amongst it once again, losing 3.3 seconds to Rick C on this stage, but still well in the picture for another podium finish. Third place in stage 2, highlighting German's usual consistency. So Rick C was fastest again in stage 2, with Dan and Fraser completing the top 3. Jams, Truth and Jabber also handled the wet conditions well, 4th and 5th in this one. The overall standings not too much different, Rick C at the top from Fraser and Jabber, Jams, Truth around 19 seconds behind, and as mentioned before, Van Ombase sneaking it at the top 5. So stage 3 was finally dry, but the drivers couldn't relax because it was night time, which meant that there was still plenty of challenge to overcome. Having struggled a bit in the wet conditions, Ettore was back to his best in stage 3, going fastest of all by 2.1 seconds from Booth. A notable absentee from the top 5 in this stage was Rick C, who made a mistake on his run and lost around 20 seconds, giving up the overall lead to Fraser in doing so.
Damn it, what am I doing?
There were a few drivers going quite a bit better on tarmac than they have been on gravel previously. One of whom was Pretend Soda, who set the 5th quickest time in this stage, a personal best performance from him. In the dry conditions, the drivers were really able to attack the course, which gave the stages a real sprint-like quality. Equally though, that meant mistakes were even more costly in terms of overall position than they have been in previous rounds. Booth was second quickest in the Skoda to move up to 3rd place overall. The American just 2.2 seconds off Ettore's best time, but looking good to challenge for the top 5 once again. Jams Truth lost time though and dropped out of the top 5 with this error.
Now for the biggest cut.
60, 6 left, opens 30, 6 left, into 5 right tightens. 50, 6 left, 150.
No!
5 left, extra long.
I think that qualifies as hubris. That was hubris talking there.
An unusual looking top 5 then, with Ettore, Booth and Dante making up the top 3. Fraser was 4th and Pretend Soda 5th quickest in the Volkswagen Polo. That mixed everything up again in the overall standings, with Fraser now taking the lead from Rick C by 1.8 seconds. Booth, Jabba and Air Jordan rounding out the top 5. Stage 4 then. Ooh boy, Stage 4. This one featured the first glimpse at what informally became known as the fast bit, and trust me when I tell you it claimed a lot of victims. Rick C was fastest of all, with this frankly excellent demonstration of precisely how to do it.
Into 4 right long of a crest. 30. 6 right. Keep right over 80. 6 left cut. 150. 4 right. Opens of a crest. Into 4 left. Extra long. Opens. Into 6 right long. 100. 6 right long. Opens. To flat crest. Into 6 right. 100. 6 left of a crest long. Into 5 left of a crest. 50, 4 right long.
Edge of your seat stuff there, but most of the others weren't quite as successful. Brad Spitt went, and Brad Spitt went hard. The German retiring from the rally outright as a result of this spectacular crash.
Reifenschaden vorne links, 6 links, über Kuppe lang, in 5 links über Kuppe, 50, 4 rechts lang, in 5 links.
Next up on the highlight reel is Air Jordan, who came a cropper at the very last corner. We'll see plenty more of this particular turn. The Ford Fiesta running wide in the second to last turn, getting onto the dirt and being unable to recover in time for the final 6 left. That was one example of how things can go wrong. This from Hercules, though, was, well...
100, flat middle of a long crest.
Damn it! Woohoo!
On the off chance you're still interested after all of that, Rick C went quickest from a Torre and Timalele in stage 4, Jabba and Booth rounding out the top 5. In the overall standings, that result gave the championship leader the top spot in the Rally of Spain once again. Fraser losing around 22 seconds on that stage and dropping back to P2, narrowly ahead of Booth. Stage 5, the Ascenso por Valle El Gale, which I think is the Gale Valley climb, at a guess. Anyway, in unbelievable scenes, it was actually sunny for the first time. That allowed the drivers to finally attack a stage with a little bit of confidence, and allowed me to get some nice broadcast shots for once. This was another good stage for Dante, the German P4 in stage 5, to settle into 7th place overall. The battle for a place in the overall top 5 was really hotting up now. Climbing through the leaderboard after those early mishaps in the wet was a Torre, who was quickest once again in stage 5 to move up to P4 overall.
Into 4 right. Into 4 left long. Into 5 right. Into cut 3 left long. Into 5 right of a crest. Into cut 5 left. Into 6 right. Opens
all over the place.
3 right.
The stage concluded with a very sharp hairpin right, which you have to say, Jam's Truth absolutely nailed.
So good.
Ettore just pipped Rick C by a 10th.5. Jabba was 3rd, 3.8 seconds back, Dante and Booth rounding out the top 5 in stage 5. That extended Rick C's lead to 28 seconds now, with another poor stage for Fraser. Jabba moving up to P2 and Booth rounding out the top 3. Okay, party's over. Back to the gloomy conditions for stage 6, the just over 6.5 miles of Centenera. And it had taken him a while to get up to speed in Spain, but finally a familiar face came good. Cookie going 3rd quickest with a time 8 seconds off the overall pace in stage 6. Unfortunately though, the reigning champion was a good 2 minutes and 40 seconds off the front of the field, having had a really poor time in the previous stages. It's a segue that sort of writes itself at this point, but Rixey was having the opposite of a poor time, going fastest once again in stage 6, 5.5 seconds ahead of Ettore. With Jabba and Booth even further back, that extended the Americans' lead even further. Now, after the scenes in stage 4, the final corner of the fast bit had earned the nickname Hark's Rest, and it claimed even more victims at the end of stage 6. Pretend Soda running slightly wide, catching the guardrail and basically crashing his way across the finish line.
Right long, keep right over 80, 6 left long, 100, flat middle of a long crest, over finish, 80 to stop.
After his textbook finish to stage 5, Jam's Truth went the other way at the end of stage 6. Unless you class this as textbook, in which case, bang on. Rixey 137, fastest again from Ettore and Cookie, with Jabba and Booth fairly inseparable, 4th and 5th this time round. Rick's lead now 38.6 seconds over Jabba, with Ettore sneaking ahead of Booth into 3rd. Jam's Truth still 5th, despite that spectacular finish to stage 6. Stage 7 is Salidas de Montverde. Honestly, if there's any Spanish speakers watching, I'm sorry. After a few repairs in the service centre, Timolele was back on form in stage 7, going 4th quickest in the Skoda. Unfortunately though, he was sort of battling it out with Cookie in the mid-pack, both around 2 minutes and 45 seconds off the overall pace. Despite the opportunity for repairs, those towards the back were pretty much crawling to the finish. MJ Povey here demonstrating the effects of a lack of engine power.
Watch this.
60, turn unseen, hairpin left. 50.
Sick.
2 right long, tightens.
Forgot about the tower.
Elsewhere, Ettore will have been cursing his mistakes in the wet conditions of stage 1 and 2 as he went fastest again in stage 7 to prove he definitely has the pace to take the fight to Rixey. The challenge for the British driver is to cut out some of those errors and be a bit more consistent. If he can do so, rally victories are there for the taking. Ettore and Rixey proven to be the class of the field when the conditions are dry. Cookie, Timolele and Jam's Truth rounding out the top 5 in stage 7. Big news on the championship front from stage 7 was Fraser's retirement, meaning he would definitely lose a lot of points to Rixey and Ettore, the latter moving up to 2nd in this run. 2 to go then, and another nighttime run for stage 8, which was the reverse of stage 2. Those pesky guardrails providing ample opportunity for drivers to lose their headlights if they weren't careful. And amongst the midfield runners, Instinct was going well on his debut in the FRS Dirt Rally Championship. The German still building up to his outright speed, but going along nicely and, most importantly, keeping the car on the road. Up at the front, this one was a tough one for Booth, who finished 14th in stage 8. With just one stage to go, the podium was beginning to look out of reach for the American, barring a big mistake from Ettore or Jabba. There were 20 drivers still running in stage 8, and of those, 17 were within 22 seconds of the fastest time. The unlucky 3 being the heavily damaged MJ Povey, Dante, who made a mistake, and me, because I was trying far too hard to make up for the 15-minute penalty from the graphics card issue. Rixey got the better of Ettore this time and was showing full commitment through the centre of the town.
Into 4 left, 5 right big cut, into 4 left long, 50, 2 right long, 60. Caution, don't cut, 2 left long.
Rick and Ettore once again the top 2, with Timolele 3rd, Jabba 4th, and incredibly, after the accident earlier on, Hercules 5th. Not much change in the overall standings, with Rixey looking very likely to win the rally. Jabba and Booth would both feel they were in range of stealing the place of the car ahead should something go wrong. Stage 9 then, the final challenge, or the Finale de Belrieux, which I'm pretty sure doesn't translate as final challenge. 8.9 miles to go to get to the checkered flag, but of course plenty still to play for as this one was the power stage. 25 additional championship points available to the winner of this stage, 15 points for second place, and as always 10 points for third. And I'd been hinting that something needed to go wrong for someone for there to be a change in the order at the top, and unfortunately for Jabber, a couple of back-to-back mistakes proved really costly. This minor moment compounded in the following turn as the Finn carried too much speed and met his demise in a tree. The resulting puncture costing him over a minute. Good news everyone, Hercules is back, and that can only mean one thing. The damage from that particular Royal Yeet was absolutely huge. His car barely able to reach 20 miles an hour up the final hill towards the finish line. But the American showing nothing if not dogged determination. Hercules finished a scarcely believable 14 minutes and 16 seconds off the fastest time, but still finished.
To stop.
We did it! We did it! Yeah! Woohoo! We made it!
That fastest time was set by Rick C 137 despite this mistake on his final run.
6 left long, opens 100.
Rick proving that he is still human, but not human enough for everyone else. The American faster than everybody else in the field by over 10 seconds to collect another power stage victory and another rally victory as well. Timalele was second in the power stage, though a timing error meant his time wasn't posted, while Cookie was third. Your final standings then, and Rick C 137 winning by over a minute from a Torre in the end. Booth stealing the final place on the podium after that mistake from Jabber. Timalele was classified as 5th despite not appearing here because of that error, which means Jam's Truth and Pretend Soda were 6th and 7th, a season best for Pretend Soda. All of these drivers moving down one position because of that timing error, so Stashers was 11th, which was a season best. Van on Base faded to 12th, Instinct was 13th on debut, while Dante fell all the way to 14th. Moondingo, Hercules, Air Jordan and Popsicle were next, while I was only able to recover to 19th place in the end after that graphics card failure right at the start. MJ Povey was the final finisher. The full list of retirements: Fraser, AWD Turbo Guy, Black and Gold 56, Madster, Brad's Pit, Dan, Lightbot, Garley and Hugh Sam, who fell at the very first hurdle. If you thought the championship was a foregone conclusion before this event, it looked even more so now. Rick C building up a 255-point lead, and with victory in the next round in Australia, could wrap up the championship mathematically. Fraser's retirement throws him back towards the clutches of Jabber, Booth, Timalele and Jam's Truth. False 12 remains 8th, sort of on his own, while Cookie moves up to 9th and Dante is 10th. Before we go, the usual plug for all of the FRS socials and for all of my own socials, which you can find in the usual places. Nothing changes there. Just 3 rounds to go now, the next of which is in Australia. We will catch you down under.